Well, hello everyone. It turns out that the last video I made about pivot and factors are was not the last thing I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to record this one out of the love of my heart for the string and stringer package, which is actually a very nice and useful tool to deal with data values that have like uh, character text, like words that might have been improperly inputted that might um, make it difficult for you to transfer it and manipulate it into different types of data sets. So what these functions do is they allow you to detect certain character combinations that um, allow you to deal with the possible errors that were made while inputting data. And an example of this was, let's say, um, you wanted to um, you wanted to code types of procedures that were written in text. So, like if you had data in a column, it's a type of procedure, and one said, I don't know, like colonoscopy, and the other one said fecal occult blood test, and there was a misspelling in some of the words. It would, and you wanted to change those into a numbered categorical variable, you would be missing some data points. So I'm going to go over an example of how to deal with that and how to work around that. So first thing first is always to read in data and also to load in any of the um, packages we're going to be working under. This time we're going to be using the stringer data set and sorry, the stringer package. And let me get rid of all these guys. Make it a little neater. So if you click it, you can see, so this is supposed to be on the left side, are supposed to be like identifiers for a patient or individual in the study. You could see that um, a very easy example is to see, let's say like one type of, let's say there are four levels for types of work in this study. It was private sector, government sector, childcare, and self-employed. You can see here that private sector, while all these observations have the private sector work type value, they're spelled differently. Some capitalized different, some just says private. So that's going to make it very difficult to actually convert these into numerical values, or even to just convert, like get them to be recognized as something as the same thing, because R is not going to know that private is the same thing in private sector. It's not even going to, and this is misspelled, it's not even going to know that this private sector, which let's say there was one, this one, which is spelled correctly, is going to be the same as this because of the capitalization. So we need to fix that. So first, let's just get an idea of current levels for work type. And that just means like, let's find out what these are coded as, like all the different possibilities, what they're coded as. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the summarize function from dplyr. in this current way. So it's going to group. First, we're going to group by work type, so we can basically so we're going to group by work type so that those will all each types will be have their own row in the summarized column. And then we're going to be making a new variable called n, which is going to be n parentheses is just the total of the occurrences of whatever like observation we're saying. So it's basically going to tally the total amount you see of every like time this is seen, like private sector, so it's going to tally the amount of times that's seen. They do that for each specific value. So you can see here that it counted all of the different, these are all the different possibilities of work type entries, and these are the counts of each. So you can see that there's, like a good amount of variability for what should be the same level. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new variable that is going to hopefully combine a bunch of these values from the original work type. So we're going to do that using mutate. And then when we do mutate, we're going to be using the function string detect, which I will demonstrate here. So we're going to make a new storage object called work clean, and we're going to do a case when, because we're basically going to say when you see this name or this name or this name, when you see this, you're going to make a new variable in the work CL, which is clean, and you're going to call it, let's say for that one, you'd say that one is the government sector. So we'll do case one. We'll do string detect, and that string is going to, so first we state the variable that it's going to be drawing from. So it's going to be work type, right? Because that's where it's going to be looking at. Then we're going to write a string that hopefully covers all of the possibilities or is seen in every type of variation of what it should be. So in this case, let's say for private sector, you can see here that if we use like the string or the phrase RIVAT, all undercase, we'll get this one, we'll get this one, we won't get this, and we'll get this one. So we'll get a decent amount, and then we could work on seeing if we can get the other one. So we'll start with just that. So do RIVAT, and then if that is true, so if you see this, then you're going to assign the value of in the new variable private sector, and you're going to do that for all of these 4 levels. And as I said, the 4 levels that we want it to be is private sector, government sector, childcare, and self-employed. So I'm just going to just copy and paste what I have come up with, but you can come up with something that you might think fits the bill better. So let me just write that. Okay, so we have all these 4, and then if none of these strings will capture a value, then it will stay and its current type, it'll keep the same name. And then once we do that, we can see which ones we weren't able to capture and then change our code accordingly. So we'll do this. Now we have that. And now we can view how we did and how many of the values we captured. So we'll do this. So we're grouping, and then we're just taking a tally, which is kind of like the summarize function, just another way of doing it. So we could see for private, we kind of narrowed it down to 2. And if you look through some of the other ones, you'll see that we're able to kind of cut back. So now we have to try another thing. So that was the basic. Now we're going to try again, except we're going to spread out a little more the possibilities. So we're going to use we're going to go back to the original data set. And what we're going to do is we're going to include more possibilities in the strings. So yeah, with more possibilities. Okay, so we're back to the original. We're back to this, but instead of just doing one string that it could be, we're going to add a multiple options that could be that aren't mutually exclusive or don't have to fulfill both things. It's saying, and I'll write it out. So we're going to keep RIVAT because that was able to capture some. But then instead of just closing the parentheses, we're going to include this straight line, which basically is saying like, so if you see RIVAT or you see RIVTE, because if you go back to here, you could see that RIVTE was seen here. So we want to get this one and move into that. So that covers that. And that's kind of the philosophy that we're going to be going through for the rest of the levels. It's a pretty useful tool, this straight line that basically allows you to have multiple strings be incorporated into the same level so that you have a larger net. So then we're just going to do the same. And then work type. Now we'll do this for self-employed. And if you go, you kind of have to look through these, but let's say you had you wanted to include this guy, restaurant owner, because he's technically self-employed. So that would go into freelance. You would include free, obviously. Then you might include you just want to make it a wider net. So I'm going to include these, and it's going to be the same concept where we are sorry, I messed the code here. This should be closed here. Okay, so Okay, so these are just going to be the strings that I'm doing to try to get self-employed, which is freelance, restaurant, self-employed, and then I'll just copy and paste the rest of what I got. So then it's going to be the same similar theme of just trying to expand the possibilities. And then if we miss it again, we're going to allow it to pass through. So when we do this code again, hopefully, I don't know if we'll see it this time, but the goal is to only have 4 levels, which is these 4 levels that we wanted. And there you go. So we got the 4 levels, and we're ready to move on into we're ready to move on into the actually like more analysis. So there's another thing that we can do um, where we can get rid of uh, we can get rid of the um, values, like some ID numbers um, that might just be unnecessary. So let's say we wanted to get rid of all of these like -1s in this IDs because it's just like, I guess, not necessary. We can use a we can use a function that we saw in a previous video, which was, I guess, the last one, the pivot video, using string extract, which removes um, string or like letters from a value. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Um, code that I had for that. And basically, so we're using this work clean. So now we have, this is, oh, not where you working with this guy. So we're working with this, and we basically just want to keep this, this, um, this code is that we're going to be keeping the new column, this ID one, and the ID, except we're going to be making a new ID column that doesn't have that it has the the input is from the ID, so it's basically we're using a mutate. It's going to be called ID clean or IDCL, and it's going to be a string. We're going to extract from the ID column anything that has. I believe this is going to get rid of all the numbers that follow, but and then it's going to make it a number rather than a character. So what happens. So actually, it just kept the numbers. So, oh, I see. So it just got rid of the, it kept these numbers. I didn't even see them because there's so much text. But it kept these numbers and is able to do that because it's just basically said to keep numbers from 0 to 9. It could be more than 1, I think, is that this plus symbol. And that's the only thing that you will be extracting out. So yeah, that's it. In the notes, there is more detailed information on how to use these functions, but I just wanted to give a brief overview. And I will give the same speech like I said last time. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos. I hope they were helpful. I hope you enjoyed using R throughout this process. And if you ever have any questions about R, feel free to reach out. Also, feel free to use Google and to, whenever you have questions, Google things with R, because I still do that to this day. And if you don't use it for a while, you're going to need a refresher. And even when you're learning, sometimes you just need to hear it a different way. So don't ever have shame in using Google, but always try to challenge yourself and figure it out before you actually look it up on Google. I think that's it.